There you go. Homer, I like it. Hey, guys. Floor's yours. Yeah, I think that from our perspective, again, you look at the running backs, great class of running backs here. Really excited to see those guys work out. Maybe when you look at the tight end class a little deeper, maybe a little lighter along the defensive line than it's been in the past couple of years. Offensive linemen took a jump again this year. And then the safety class is really strong. So excited to get to know a lot of these guys here more this week.
Howie, what are you guys losing to Frank Reich?
Well, when you talk about Coach Reich, first you're talking about the person. I mean, an unbelievable person, leadership, obviously a great offensive mind. You know, it's interesting when we started this all together in 2016 and kind of put out that plan with Coach Peterson, and a couple of us went on the road to watch those quarterbacks. We really kind of got some time to bond and have dinner and have all these meals together and watch those quarterbacks. And it couldn't happen to a better guy, a better coach. You know, obviously hard for our team to lose a person and player like that, but that's what happens when you have some success in this league. Yeah, I would defer all the coaching questions to Coach Peterson when he comes up next. You know, obviously that's his realm. I'm going to go Philly, and then I'm going to come back to Baltimore. Yeah, right now, you know, timetable is not where we're at. Those guys, as a whole, our team doesn't come back till April 16th. We got a long way till we start training camp. So we're not going to kind of get into the day-by-day incremental. There's no harder worker, no more determined person than Carson Wentz. And, you know, we're just going to make sure that we take care of him and do the right things by him.
How would you describe what Jay and Jai mean to your team? To what extent do you envision him a long-term part of the franchise?
Well, the first part of the question, when you look at our backfield, the coaches did an unbelievable job of utilizing everyone's strengths and getting everyone involved. You talk about Jay, you talk about Corey, you know, Darren early in the year, LeGarrette, of course. To have those guys and to have them all and figure out specific roles and keep them involved, and then the chemistry that they had as a group. You know, when we scored a touchdown, those guys were all congratulating each other. Jay's an explosive guy. He can run inside the tackles. He can break it outside. They did a great job getting him the ball in the screen game. So he's a young guy. He's 25 years old. He's obviously under contract next year. So we're really looking forward to having him the whole offseason in training camp and kind of getting him more involved as we go. You know, we're trying to keep as many good players as possible, and you're talking about a Super Bowl MVP. You know, he's been unbelievably successful for us. He's got great character, great leadership. That room is exactly what we're looking for. We have a franchise quarterback, we have a Super Bowl MVP, and we have a young quarterback that we're excited about as well. So, you know, that's kind of how we're looking at it as we get started in the offseason. We got a lot of areas that we have to address. We're getting started a little bit behind all these other teams, and we know in this league, if we don't get to work and get serious about this, we're going to get our butt kicked. So our intention is to keep all our good players.
Keeping a lot of those good players and also addressing some depth issues in free agency.
We had anticipated what was going to go on in this offseason, certainly last year, and some of the moves we made were with that in mind. From our perspective, we had kind of taken a look at maybe the free agent classes over a 2-year period and felt like we would try to balance where our resources would go. At the end of the day, we got to do whatever we can to improve our football team. You know, we know that there are areas that we have to address. We know there are areas we have to get better at from a personnel standpoint, and our intention is to find creative ways to do that.
As far as Nate Sudfeld goes, when Carson Wentz went down, you didn't sign a third quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about him potentially being? Is he capable of being a backup quarterback as opposed to just a developmental guy?
Yeah, I'd put this in a Nate Sudfeld category that doesn't have anything to do with Carson or Nick, so I don't want to take it out of context. You know, Nate Sudfeld's got a tremendous skill set, not only to potentially be a number 2 in this league, but we think he's got upside to develop into a starter. I mean, incredibly smart, athletic, good frame, can make all the throws. All you got to do is ask some of our defensive players of him on the scout team and how he did. So we're excited about him, even more excited to see him with full off-season with our coaching staff in our off-season program and then through training camp. One more time. Jason Peters is a Hall of Fame player. I think the most amazing thing about Jason is every year people ask about his age, ask about him, and he continues to defy the odds. And when you go back and you look at our season and you look at his reps, I mean, he was dominant. He wasn't just good. He was dominant. One of the unsung stories of our season was that group of 6 guys who were in the training room every day. And instead of sulking about their role on the team, they were out there encouraging their position groups, working as hard as possible. Even the week of the Super Bowl, those guys were all working their ass off to get back. They have a chip on their shoulder, and we can't wait to see what they have in store for them. Yeah, I don't want to get into anyone specifically, but again, you know, when we talk about Jason Peters, we're not just talking about any guy. We're talking about a Hall of Fame transcendent talent who continued to play at a tremendously high level. It's very hard. It's hard to avoid, you know, looking at those guys who did unbelievable things for your football team, have unbelievable character, and separate it from what we need to do going forward. By the same token, you know, this is a unique position for us, and certainly me personally, in the fact that, you know, we have to make these decisions coming off a championship year. But we want to get better. We want to continue to be in a position to get better, and so we're going to have to make tough choices. You know, it's not like we could just bring the band back together and expect the same results. So that's part of what we have to do out here. That there are going to be some tough ones that we have to make, but I think, you know, talking to Coach and our staff, we understand that that's the mentality we have to take to have a chance to get back here again. I'll come back. Is this like the Miami media contingent, really? Oh, that's perfect. What was the question again? I had my joke in mind, so I wasn't really thinking of it. Well, I think that one thing, it's easier to trade with people out of your conference, you know, so you're not playing against those same players all the time, and I think you see that a lot where teams are trading outside the conference. I don't want to play that guy. I don't want to see him in a big game. Obviously, we have a good relationship with the people there, you know, starting with owner on down, coaches, front office staff. And then, as well as last year, we practiced with them. So we had an opportunity to sit down after practices and try to figure out needs and where we could help each other.
As far as the draft is concerned, how do you go about leveraging talent versus off-the-field issues? Position talent, the guys here who have some things, some baggage, so to speak. So how do you leverage those two against each other?
One of the reasons we had success was because of the chemistry of our group. I mean, we had an amazing locker room, amazing chemistry within that team. And so we have to be very careful about not getting outside of the things that made us successful and making sure that we're sticking to our process as we do that. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't unique examples. I mean, there was a lot of questions about Jalen Mills when he came out in the draft, and I think anyone who's been around Jalen and seen his work ethic, his leadership, you know, how much he cares and what he's done would say that he's erased all those questions. So that's part of what our scouting staff led by Joe Douglas does and puts us in a position here to answer a lot of those questions.
Quantify rather the value in a player, say, 32, potentially the need to move back and get more picks to add depth to the roster. I mean, you guys want to talk again.
Yeah.
First round set.
It's a pretty simple formula for us. You know, if there's a guy that we rate as a difference maker, that is a guy that maybe we have, we will never have 32 guys in our first round. If there's a guy there that we think makes a difference and is our first round talent, we won't hesitate to take that guy. If we have a bunch of guys with similar grades, we would look to move back. Same thing if we have a bunch of guys with lesser grades. Now, it takes two, obviously, you know, so it's not so easy just saying, hey, I'm going to move up or I'm going to move back. But that's kind of the process we'll go through. I'll come back. Yeah, it's hard to know what other people think about what their priorities are. You know, when Coach Peterson came and we sat down and talked about the roster, we agreed that we were going to be develop a mental program for our quarterbacks, that we wanted to have 3 guys that we thought had the ability to be starters and winners. And as we sit here, Obviously, we have a tremendous amount of confidence in our franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz, tremendous amount of confidence in Nick Foles as a Super Bowl MVP, and yet to be seen as although he threw for 80% completion percentage in the game against the Cowboys, we have tremendous faith in our third quarterback. So when you put your head on the pillow at night, that's something that gives us some relaxation, but I can't speak to how everyone else is going to view it.
What are your thoughts on the data tracking? I mean, you guys have been kind of considered ahead of the curve on analytics. Have you guys talked about it, and what impact do you think it has as far as scouting weekly games now?
We have talked about it. We've talked about it for a couple of years. We do have people in the building who are probably more familiar with it than myself. I'd probably have to get back to you on kind of the ramifications and effects going forward.
With Brandon Graham making it public that he does want to get paid, he does want to have a contract extension, do you feel like he's going to be a part of this team's future after this contract year?
Brandon Graham is an unbelievable player, unbelievable person. Everyone wants more money. That's the nature of every business that you're in. He certainly deserves the opportunity to get more. We love having him here. We hope he's able to finish his career as an Eagle. We got a great relationship with Brandon and his agent. In terms of specifics, we're going to keep all contract talks in-house. Well, the first part about that is we got a lot of good free agents, and we want to bring them all back. At the same time, we got to figure out whether that fits into our overall scheme and our system. We'd love to bring him back. We'd love to bring Nigel back, but obviously everything's going to depend on where that is. In terms of Jordan, we have tremendous confidence in Jordan. He's doing a great job. He's overcome these before and come back really strong, and he's got the skill set to be able to do that.
Have you been taking trade
How come?
calls from teams, maybe look at your salary cap situation, or asking about some of the veteran defenders?
Yeah, we're not a short sale right now. We're very comfortable with our roster and our flexibility to make moves that we have to make. That doesn't mean we're in as good a situation as a lot of these teams in the league. I mean, there is a lot of cap room out there. There's teams with a ton of cap room. But we are not going to make decisions. We are not going to get rid of good players because of our cap situation. And that responsibility starts with me in making sure that we're able to keep guys and sign good players, and we're not just doing things because of a cap situation.
We have time for a few more questions.
What kind of player is Corey Clement turning into for you guys?
Corey is an unbelievable story. Local kid who came out of college with a lot of questions. People had a lot of questions about him and his character. And when you talk about what he did this year and his work ethic and his attitude, another one who answered all of those. We had a little secret weapon with Corey. Dom, our VP of Security, and Corey go back a long way. So we were able to ask Dom any questions we had, and he assured us, like he does on a lot of things, that we were missing the boat on this or some of the information we had. And he certainly proved us right. And Joe Douglas and I tell Dom a lot of time he deserves a lot of credit for Corey. Yeah, Alshon didn't miss one practice. He played in every game. He was tremendous. I don't know that anyone who watched our tape or watched our games all year could see anything that affected Alshon. Our goal in signing Alshon and signing Timmy was keeping the core of the team together and having two guys that we thought were difference makers. Not that there aren't other ones who are free agents right now. And we feel like Alshon's going to be a huge part of our team. Not only was he this year, but going forward, and that's why we signed him. Yeah, I think when you look at certainly the offensive lineman and the skill set of offensive linemen, it's changed dramatically, certainly over the last 10 years, and the athleticism, and you see it on our offensive linemen. We have tremendous athletes along our offensive line. In terms of a particular school that I could look to and say, they play the same style of us, it's hard. When you look at certainly our offensive style of play, Coach Peterson is constantly adjusting. He's constantly changing things up and tendencies, and I think that's what makes him great. And so we look at things, and then all of a sudden the next week he's doing something else to exploit our strengths. So I don't think I gave you an answer there.
All right, thanks, guys. Coach
Thank you.